Like pretty much everyone else, Jack wanted to face the legendary Musashi Miyamoto. However, someone ruined that for us. The rat himself, God Motobe, who was out saving the Japanese fighters. While we did get an amazing fight between those two, I think everyone would have loved Jack vs Musashi, so today I'm going to explain how that fight would have played out during that arc, and whether current Jack with his insane improvements could defeat Musashi. The two victims of Motobe will now clash. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like if you enjoy Baki content that's provided on this channel, Mysterious Weeb, and of course enjoy the video. To begin, some respect needs to be given to Jack in the Musashi arc. While being outplayed by the Prep Time King himself at every turn pretty much, he was able to push through and land significant damage, and I consider this an actual high diff fight, with Jack being stronger overall and under any different circumstance. This is for the following reasons. Jack literally made Motobe say this: "Jack Hanma, there's no possible way I could ever go toe to toe with you." Meaning weapons and prep was Motobe's only option. Like for example, my dude required a smoke bomb and firecrackers just to stop Jack from punching him. We even had Jack mind breaking Motobe with his insane will to continue fighting. So yes, he lost in the end, but by no means was it some type of low diff stomp like I've seen people say around the Baki fandom for some unknown reason. Now some things to mention about Musashi vs Motobe. Yes, for this fight as well, Motobe technically won, but if you've actually read the fight, you can't say Musashi wasn't suppressed and that this was kinda a real fight per se. We pretty much just had Musashi standing there and Motobe using his various weapons and tricks to kind of beat him up, and then you can look at both fighters after the fight has concluded. If Musashi wanted to, he could have defeated and killed Motobe, but that wasn't really the whole point of that fight. So now with all of that out of the way, let's discuss how strong Musashi and Jack are during this arc. So simply, Musashi is able to fight Yujiro with his demon back out, which is something I doubt anyone watching thinks Jack could do during this arc. However, Musashi is someone who suppresses himself and pretty much plays with his opponents. This is evident throughout the whole arc itself. Would he play with Jack and kinda get caught off guard? Potentially at first, but Jack is someone who can do pretty lethal damage and is kinda willing to go for the kill, so Musashi would most likely need to get serious, and that's where things don't look too good for Jack. For example, given the extent Jack is willing to take a fight and the circumstances / situations he fights in, for example on the street, in locations often alone or with little to no spectators, I believe it's likely Jack would be killed by Musashi if they were to fight each other during this arc. With Motobe even agreeing to this, and that was the whole reason he wanted to fight Jack, to stop him from fighting Musashi and getting himself killed due to this insane will Jack has to continue fighting and pretty much push through his limits. For some bonus things, this was Jack's reaction to Motobe's fight with Musashi as well. If you consider the story itself and Jack fighting Musashi eventually getting killed, this would mean Retsu and Jack are now dead, resulting in most likely a bloodlusted Baki, like what we kinda saw when Musashi was about to kill Hanayama. So perhaps in this variation of the story, we would have got Demon Back Baki vs Musashi, which would have been incredible, but most likely would have ended with that painful kiss once again. I still wish we got to see the end of Baki vs Musashi. I think most people do, including, Yujiro vs Musashi as well, with the Rat King himself ruining that, but it is what it is. So in short, I think Musashi pretty much kills or at the very least defeats Jack during this arc. I would like to say most people watching agree with this, but how about current Jack with his insane biting improvements, him looking like an absolute monster and pretty much calling out everyone to fight? That includes Baki and implications that he wants to fight Yujiro, with Jack being absolutely confident with all of this, with current Jack vs Musashi being much more interesting, as Baki fans still need to realise that characters are getting stronger from each arc. This of course is to varying degrees. Baki's and Yujiro's improvements are above pretty much most characters from arc to arc. For example, in 2006 the Pickle arc came out, which is pretty crazy to think about. The Pickle arc came out in 2006 for the manga. That was when we had the first time in the whole series of Yujiro kinda being removed from the absolute number 1 spot, as at various instances we had Baki thinking Pickle may be stronger. Then we had the whole controversial strength test between Pickle and Yujiro, with Pickle technically winning that exchange. Of course, that all changed in the next arc, with Yujiro being reinstated as the number 1, the strongest. And then as the arcs followed, we had Musashi absolutely destroy Pickle, and Yujiro, I guess, having a draw. But I would like to say he defeated Musashi during that arc, as he did drop him multiple times. Yujiro may have been dropped by Musashi's final attack if it wasn't for Motive, but technically Yujiro had a better showing during that fight. And then now in the Suma arc, we even have Yujiro getting statements that he's getting stronger and stronger, with him getting thicker and thicker and just looking like an absolute monster. And then another bonus thing to mention is when he had his fight with Sukune after he pretty much knocked him out, we had the old man, mentioning Musashi as well in this panel here, which was pretty cool. So Sukune even getting praise from Musashi, and Jack defeating Sukune, so some things kinda coming together here. But let's discuss current Jack versus Musashi. It's kinda hard to say, but it really just depends on how strong current Jack has become. For example, most people think Demon Back Baki is around the level of Musashi, even though base Baki was kinda relative enough to fight Musashi, but you could also say that wasn't fully serious Musashi, as he wasn't going all out like he did against Yujiro during their fight. Then we had to consider whether current Baki is a lot stronger compared to the Musashi arc Baki, which is kinda hard to say as he hasn't really done much in the new manga. He had his fight with Sukune, which wasn't really a fight, it's a quick little exchange, and then he had his fight in the sumo tournament against the mini sumo dude, which he absolutely destroyed, and that's really all Bucky's done apart from that sparring match with Doppo as well. So nothing that has really pushed him to see how much stronger he's become, or we haven't really got statements and physical showings of getting stronger like we've gotten for Yujiro. I think it's really going to depend on what happens when Jack actually does fight Baki. If Jack per se wins that fight, was able to push Baki to use his demon back, and I guess potentially releases his own demon back, if that is the case, I think it's pretty arguable that Jack could be stronger than what Musashi was. Let's say Baki during the Musashi arc is equal to Musashi with his demon back. If Baki was to get stronger in the next arc, him with his demon back should be above Musashi in that way, and if Jack is able to fight that version of Baki, and even win per se, that would mean Jack should be stronger than Musashi and could technically win. However, that only works if you think Baki and Musashi are equal. I know some people in the fandom believe Musashi is actually stronger than even the likes of Yujiro, and that he would have actually killed him if Motobe didn't step in. That I guess is fine to think, but you still need to consider Yujiro getting stronger and current Yujiro being stronger, and most likely Baki as well. So Yujiro having surpassed Musashi is most likely a occurrence, even though I don't really believe in that thinking regardless. But if you are someone who thinks that, it really once again depends on Jack fighting Baki, and if Jack does fight Yujiro, what actually happens during those fights. Let's say Jack and Musashi are relative enough to actually fight with both of them being serious right now. Let's have a look at how either of them can win, what they can do, and how the fight would technically play out. So Jack has his lethal biting, which can pretty much defeat and kill Musashi if he's able to land a pretty good shot. His striking as well has improved greatly, but I don't think striking will be enough, and Jack has become a lot more tactical with his use of biting. So definitely the biting, or his new martial art, the way of the biting, will be his go-to and really the only chance he has. Musashi is kinda weird. When he has his sword, he can technically do more damage, but his strongest version is swordless. And he also has this prediction moves where he can read the intention of people and react to them before they actually attack, with of course the power of prediction, which in Baki is a more advanced level than what, for example, we have in Kengan, where it's literally mind reading. Jack, for what we know, doesn't have this ability, so this could kind of be the difference, and maybe a way to argue Musashi would win in an equal stat situation. So pretty much they both have ways to defeat one another. But which way is more likely, and overall, if it wasn't equal stats, do you think Jack or Musashi is stronger? I personally believe it is extremely hard to say. Based on showings, it most likely goes to Musashi, but it really depends on what Jack does in the future of the story. Musashi is gone, most likely not returning, so characters are just going to get stronger and stronger. That includes Jack, so a few characters surpassing Musashi's level in, I guess, the coming years of chapters if Baki does continue, would most likely have Jack significantly above Musashi and a few other characters as well. It really just depends on what happens in the future of the story. But of course, let me know what you think down below. Shout out to the mad lads who support the channel via the Patreon. Check out all the other stuff in the description, and that's it guys. Peace.